Phil, that was Jason Gregory. Wonderful, refreshing. He's really been around, studied different philosophies, different technologies. Some people think it's better to just go with one teaching and stick with it. I think he's navigated his path and going through all these different teachers and whatnot in a very intelligent, reasonable way. And I especially appreciated his the discussion
Yeah,
with him about just the reality of life and not creating a false sense of equanimity.
right. What we used to call mood making. Yeah, he seems very grounded and very knowledgeable, and young. We
Right.
must point out that we didn't ask his exact age, but I'm extrapolating from some of the things he said that he may be in his, late 30s, mid to late
Right.
30s, or
Right.
early.
I mean,
And
when I saw the photo of him,
yeah,
I commented on that. He's done a lot in a short period of time. I want to go on back to that point about mood, what we used to call mood making, and both of us have been on these. We're on these long rounding courses. We used to call them rounding courses, hours of meditation, TM, and most people were very natural, but there were some people that really put on an air of separateness and detachment and on and on, and that usually held up maybe during the course, but when they got back to life and their spouse or their business or whatever
that's
like
right.
that, then that equanimity rather often went right out the window.
It became equanimity. Um, No, and it's not, I've since realized it's very common in
Right.
spiritual circles of all, every lineage and every organization, every group. People, it seems a natural thing, especially at first, early stages, you
Right.
have more inner peace and you're feeling much better, and you have these images of advanced yogis. You read about it. You read about states of
Hmm.
awakening and enlightenment and the characteristics of the great masters, and you want them, and so you convince yourself that you have them. Somebody called it premature immaculation. That
Very creative.
you
I think the other side, along these lines, Phil. I mean, for many people, when they start a practice, even if with yoga, but certainly with meditation, the contrast is so great because most
yeah.
people in the world, the senses are always outward, and then suddenly, even if it's for 20 minutes or 10 minutes, they have some experience of going inward in some inner silence, especially in our culture at this time. And it's even more so than when we started meditation, back in the day, because now, like Jason was pointing out, everybody's focused on the internet and looking at their phones and looking at their computers, and I can't say that I'm not one of those people. I do that, but thank God I have had enough spiritual practice, inner work, meditation, inward uh, uh, experience, so that that can be balanced out. But I can imagine
Yeah.
people that don't have that at all, and how distorted and how imbalanced life can become.
Yeah, and I think and I think I fell prey to it. Maybe you did too. In the early years of a spiritual path, um, you find yourself feeling different, and you want people to know it,
Hmm.
and so you may go a little too far in sort of pretending you're further
Right.
along and more peaceful and more calm and more unattached than you actually are inside, because you want other people to come along and
Right.
you want to show them the way, and one way to do that is to model, and so we may put on airs, and I think over time you start to see through that, and people, after they've been on a path for longer periods of time, are just more natural, and allow themselves to be human and
Right.
flawed and have idiosyncrasies, and get upset when they're upset.
Right.
you
No,
know and
and many of our guests have brought that out and demonstrated that. Certainly, Jason did, and recently We interviewed uh, 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 not Yogananda, the Swami Satchidananda monk from his
Devotee,
organization.
yes,
Yeah, and he
that's
was
right.
very much
Yes,
like that.
Ashokananda.
Yeah, I was very impressed. People being
Hmm.
very honest and open and straightforward about that. And even, and that's been my experience with many people. Initially, there can be that mood making and all, but after some time, people get real, and
Yeah,
there's the humanity, the ups and downs of life, but you can also see that there's an equanimity, a balance, an inner silence that helps us all get through those waves of
yeah.
life, and so both are there.
I know, and that I had heard that expression to stink of Zen, and what's great about the Zen tradition is that that expression is used by the Zen masters
Right.
to get to because they're more real sometimes than the students are, and they push students, they're hard, they're taskmasters, but they want you to behave naturally and
Right.
not put on
Right.
pretensions of being
Yeah,
more.
I love that when I read this Think of Zen, and it reminded me a good friend of ours, Dean Slider, wrote a book called The Zen Commandments. So that word
Yes.
Zen can be used in many ways.
Yes, like on the Daily Show, your moment of Zen.
Zen,
It's
yeah.
yeah,
Speaking about
kind
the
of
Daily Show, but we
trivial
won't go
use
into
of it.
politics now. But
No.
all the more reason, all the more reason people should take spirituality very seriously, because it's only when great spirituality is reflected in our lives that we'll see better forms of government and better leadership in our world. So hopefully we can
Yeah.
inspire some of that.
I want to put in a plug for us because some of the people that Jason referred to and that are relevant to our conversation, we've interviewed.
Right.
So he mentioned Sadhguru, who is one of our interview guests from a year or so ago, and he was introduced to us by Dana Sawyer, who was
Hmm.
one of our guests a while ago, and I think there were some others as well. So I want to encourage
Yeah,
everybody
and he
listening
mentioned
to go to the archive.
yeah, he mentioned folks we will be having on soon that are
Yeah,
scheduling with us and whatnot. But we really, not to brag, but we have had really an amazing group of people, and it's been very, very inspiring for us. And we get that feedback from listeners. So if you're listening to this interview, and go to our website, spiritmatterstalk.com, where you may be right now, and go through the alphabetized list, or list of all our guests. Scroll through, read some of the bios, and I'm sure you're going to find a lot of folks of interest. And it's a real education. I mean, it's been a real education for me,
yeah,
listening
me
to people
too.
approach spirituality from so many different directions, and very articulate, very sweet people. And one of the other overriding themes, Phil, that we've commented on before, that I keep hearing again and again, is you grow spiritually, you seek out spiritual practices, and then there comes a point in your spiritual growth where, okay, I'm doing well inwardly. How do I bring this to the world? How do I
Hmm.
affect the world outside of myself? And I guess those that are into non-duality, it's one and the same. But I think it certainly is the case that the people that I consider to be most evolved, or most far down the spiritual path, often demonstrate that by
Yeah,
their concern for other people.
I agree. So let's get off the phone and go do some good in the world.
Yeah. Till next time. Yeah, and I want to say,
Okay.
you said the phone. We're actually on Skype right now. I'm in Iowa. Phil's in Los Angeles, and Jason was in Brisbane, Australia. So
Yep.
modern technology, what a miracle!
We love it.
All right, over and out. Next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.